Hello everyone, welcome back to some more thrift store finds. Just this morning's Monday morning, get the week started. Let you see what I grabbed. First up is one thing that I actually have no idea what it is, but it spoke to me, and it's a 2-disc soundtrack or music set, but DWB Feet Fade Dead Man Wonder Band. One reason. It has Japanese all over it. It looks like an anime soundtrack of some kind. One of those. This was all just bargain room stuff. I didn't find anything anywhere else. So, pick up for by weight, and the discs are in like pristine condition. So, definitely worth just the chance grab. Every once in a while there are things like that. It's definitely no idea what this anime is, but anime soundtracks are always good, even more just like random obscure ones, even if they're not mainstream shonen stuff. Worth grabbing. This one Nickelodeon gift set. This is a good like holiday thing. Not sure if I'll slap it up now, like over the summer, like Christmas in July, or wait till actual Christmas time to list it. But it's sealed. Dora the Explorer stuff always does well, especially if you can get it for like bargain room prices. A sealed DVD gift set. It has a little mini poster, coloring book, sticker sheet. So it's a nice little thing. It has the Dora's Christmas Carol Adventure with jingle bells and other like special features. So this is a nice little thing for a little kid. And this is cool. It still has a security seal. Plastic is off, but basically brand new condition. The Fox double feature. It has Irwin Allen's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Fantastic Voyage. And neither of these movies are out of print. They're both widely available on their DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, but I just randomly know that this particular set is been, out of print for a while and is harder to find. There are just a couple of these random sets that are, for some reason, a little more sought after, like nothing crazy expensive, but I know this set is one that has gone up from its original value a little bit. It's a cool double feature in this particular collection. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is, of course, a classic, and I really have always been fond of Fantastic Voyage. There's only been a couple of movies, really, that I think pulled off feeling like it's a voyage into space, but it's the inner space of the body, and of those, Fantastic Voyage has always been my favorite. I just think it was done so wonderfully. I love the way they pulled off some of the effects. Just fantastic, good story, like the cast, so that's a great science fiction classic in my book. Then we have a few book finds, some other random things, and I'll move out of the way because I have it stacked up here. The VHS finds, again, if you've been watching like lately, I've been finding a lot of good VHS. VHS is the weirdest thing that, however long I've been either collecting for myself or selling online or whatever, VHS is the weird thing that always seems to go in these up and down phases. Everything else is fairly consistent. The books, the DVDs, the Blu-rays, the rare high dollar stuff will sell fast. Some of the lower dollar stuff will sell like at a very consistent rate. Other things like the big Warner Archive, that like 50 something movies I found in a short period of time, sealed Warner Archive and Fox Cinema Archive releases, they're selling just the way they thought they would. They're selling for a decent amount of money, but they're a little more obscure, so it's going to be over a long period of time. They're selling at like that rate that I can determine. VHS, both finding it and selling it, has consistently been this weird up and down, where for a while I will find a ton of like okay VHS tapes. There's always junk out there, but ones that are worth picking up, I'll find all kinds for a while, and then nothing for like months, where I pick up like one or two every once in a while. Not these big hauls, like that huge horror haul and whatever. So finding is like that, and selling is the same exact way, where I'll go through time periods where I'll sell, anywhere from 4 or 5 to maybe 10 plus in a single week, like 40 a month, and down to like 4 a month, and then it goes back, and it's always, VHS is always this weird up and down ride. So right now I'm riding in the picking up a lot of VHS phase, it feels, and then it's gonna go away probably for a few months, and sales of it will pick up and it'll go back down. So the number of VHS we have up for sale, it sometimes goes down as far. At one point it was down to like we maybe had 10 VHS up between eBay and whatever, Etsy, Mercari, and now we have like 50, 60 plus what I picked up today, and some unlisted, and then it'll go back down. It's the weirdest thing. But I found some DBZ. Always cool to find these older DBZ releases. Some one of the Garlic Juniors, and these were always so cool. That's one thing that's really cool about older VHS sets, a lot of anime in particular, but even some other shows like Xena and Hercules and much other ones, they formed a picture. You put all those volumes together. That's a big driver for VHS. You have the nostalgia point, the retro factor for people that are born after VHS, checking it out, and just the collector's standpoint. There are people that just like the artwork, putting them together. Because we have one set from the Garlic Jr. saga, which it's a filler saga, but I always liked it. I've talked about Garlic Jr. before. I've always liked it just because it is after that point where, kind of like for a long time, only the Saiyans matter. The writing took that turn after a while, and you get this thing of Garlic Jr. right in between. It's it's a little filler arc, but it's all about like Piccolo and Gohan and Krillin, taking them on. You don't need Vegeta. You don't need Goku, because it came into eventually it became just the Vegeta and Goku show, as far as like winning fights and occasionally Trunks kind of thing. But so then we have that, and then the Android saga. This is always really exciting. So a couple of volumes of that. Android's Invasion, Android's Dr. Gero, and then Android's Assassins, 17, 18. Great saga. Really enjoyed when those were first coming out. Bear in the Big Blue House. These always do well. This is one that there's, this is after my time. This is like younger siblings or even younger. But Bear in the Big Blue House, those tapes always do well if you can pick them up cheap. The Adventures of Raggedy Ann and Andy. This is one that is just, you don't run into these very often. It's one of those kind of oddball cartoons. There are those out there that are just, somewhat obscure. The audience isn't huge, but you don't really see them very often. One that I always keep my eye out for, and I was just reminded because Amanda was talking about it yesterday. Someone at work had mentioned it. Biker Mice from Mars. It's one of those that, like, I've always wanted to find a VHS tape of some episodes of that. I've just never run across it ever, but I'd love to find some Biker Mice from Mars. We have Tanya Roberts in Sheena, and Tanya Roberts, probably better known as the worst Charlie's Angel, or Donna's mom in that 70s show. But Sheena, cheesy movie. I watched that before. It's a good times release. And this is interesting. I've actually never run across one of these before randomly in the wild. I have no idea what this show is, but for bargain room prices, some fan's going to want this. From the show Third Watch. Never even heard of it, but it's one of those for your consideration tapes. So these were sent out to different award shows and things, and this would be their entry. Showing. I've always wanted to find like a Star Trek one of these. That would be really, really cool. But Third Watch, and the rest is I'm gonna do is just like one big lot. Probably test them out. That'll be fun at least. Bugs Bunny, some classic Bugs Bunny, and it's a good variety because you have a couple newer ones. This is obviously much newer. When I say newer, I'm thinking like late '90s to now. Like how mentally that's when I think newer. But we have Bugs Bunny's Cupid Capers. An hour long of cartoon time, Bugs Bunny, and All-American Hero. And some older ones, we have Truth or Dare, and that's like, 92? And then we have two 80s ones, which are always, you can always tell by the artwork, and I see these were just as cartoon classics all the time, but these are just really fascinating. It's volumes 1 and 2 of this 80s set. I might do these separately, actually, because they're kind of cool. But 80, there's like 88 to 90. There were a lot in this line, some old classic cartoons. But yeah, just a cool little Bugs Bunny set, worth grabbing for those cheapo prices. One Samantha American Girl book lot. We have this nice little book set, and the books individually are all in really good shape. And I feel like Samantha had to have been far and away the most popular of those dolls, and then the corresponding books and whatever, because that's the one I always see. There's been, I don't even know how many of them over the years, but Samantha is the one that I always see. That's the one my sister had. A lot of girls around that age of and especially in the 90s seem to have her. Samantha, I feel like, outsold all of them. Next up for a couple of books, some Alora's Cave. Again, any of those romantic fiction, those erotic fiction, a lot of that stuff is just worth pennies, not worth grabbing. But Alora's Cave, I will always pick up if I see it, if it's cheap, if it's like bargain room, that type of thing, because the Alora's Cave stuff still has an audience for the older physical releases. This not as much as some of the more like vampire-centric, and there's a werewolf one that we had. Some of those more fantasy and sci-fi ones, those do better, but just in general, if you can find just a couple random ones, and they're really cheap. Pretty much anything Alora's Cave I'll just grab because they will sell for me. Then we have Unruly Women, the Politics of Social and Sexual Control in the Old South. Some historical stuff works out pretty well through Water's Roar, and this is a cool cover. The Wicked, this is a vampire huntress legend. Must be a series, those will do well. This is a really good book. We actually own this book. It's a lot of fun. We both read this one, The Lost City of Z. This is a great book. This is a lot of fun. I've actually read it a couple times, so that was kind of a cool pickup to have. And I might read this one before we go ahead and sell it. Movie Made America. It's a cultural history of American movies. That might be a good read. You never know with these. I haven't heard of this one before. Revised and updated edition, but so you never know how good it's going to be, but it could be worth reading, so I'll probably check that out myself. And then we have a hardcover Pound Puppies book, and I found that right next to a Pound Puppy. And it's cool because this is actually an 80s one, 80 whatever, 85 I think, because you see the modern ones that they remade, just not worth grabbing at all, and the 80s ones, whenever I find them, they are so stained and destroyed, but this guy's in good shape and he's with the book, so that was an interesting grab. And just right next to him, I very rarely grab like plush kind of stuff, but occasionally I find something that's worth grabbing. I found something from Lamb Chop that was worth grabbing and sold that on. A few other things. What was I had a bear that I sold, a couple other ones, but this one was cool from this Princess line. This little beaver guy, and again, for bargain room, if he's in great shape, don't have to clean him or anything, and he weighs nothing, so I paid like nothing for this guy, and barely tipped the scale, so that's definitely worth grabbing when it's almost free, because he's super light, even lighter than he looks. He probably weighs almost the same as his Pound Puppy, but yeah, so I paid for some beaver today, wasn't above that. And that was it for Monday morning. Again, it was just a drive out to the Goodwill bins, checked in the main room, nothing really going on there. They were actually, I don't know why they were doing this, they were mopping the floors as they opened. So I swear some of these old folks that were coming in were going to fall and just break their hips and have lawsuits. It was really not a smart move, but they were like a large section of the floor, the customers were walking around because kind of slipping. What the heck they were thinking this morning, but that was it. Good Monday morning. Hope you guys are doing great. If you missed it, I uploaded over the weekend talking about it and keeping up with the Yakuza games. I just started Lost Judgment. I'm like 2 hours into it, I think, right now. So just kind of started with that, and hopefully we'll finish that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys later on in the next video.